Jasmine, and for this week's persuasive speech, my title is Circuses Should Be Outlawed. Have you ever been to a zoo and a circus? Could you tell the difference between the environment and behaviors of the animals? Could you tell that the circus workers abuse the animals? So today I am going to be talking about what circus workers do to the animals, the differences between circus animals and wild animals, and finally, the differences between circuses and zoos. So, in slide number 2, I have some quotes. And my first quote is animal abusement for human amusement. And what I take by this quote is that since the workers are abusing the animals, they're doing it for the audience enjoyment. And that's not right to be hurting animals for money for the audience to see and cheer because they're doing cool tricks when they're actually abusing them to do the tricks. And then my other quote is a long one. When children see animals in a circus, they learn that animals exist for our amusement, quite apart from the cruelty involved in training and confining these animals. The whole idea that we should enjoy the humiliating spectacle of an elephant or lion made to perform circus tricks shows a lack of respect for the animals as individuals, and that is by Peter Singer. And then I have a picture on this slide, and it's just an elephant for liquid change because that's what the circus people do to their animals. They chain them up, which is not right. And then my next slide is what circus workers do to the animals. So they force animals to do tricks, and that's how they abuse them. They hit them to do the trick, and like I said, they abuse them, and they use bull hooks, whips, chains, as you saw in the previous photo, electric prods, and starvation. So they don't feed their animals, and some of them are very skinny and bony, and they also have scars on their bodies from the chains because if they're trying to get away from the chains, it would engrave in their skin and cause like a scar in the scab. And then same with whips. When you whip like a back of an elephant, it's gonna show on their back. And then they also put the animals in small cages year-round and put them in there for traveling. And you can see the size of these cages in this picture. It's ridiculous. It's so small for these animals when they should be having freedom and running around and roaming and living their life, but no, they're stuck in a tiny, tiny cage. And as you can tell, also in the other picture, there's a tiger jumping through flames, and tigers are naturally feared by fire, but they are still forced to jump through fire hoops, and during this, some tigers do get burned, and that is abusement. In my next slide, the differences between circus and wild animals. So circus animals, they do tricks to entertain the audience. They are forced to do things they don't want to or they are afraid of. They are abused and kept in small cages and are starved. And as you can tell, you see this bear riding like a scooter, and that's just very unlikely of an animal to do. Like, you don't go to the zoo and you see a bear riding a scooter. That's unnatural. And then wild animals live in their own habitat, and they have lots of space. They find themselves food and they hunt. They're not given food. They hunt for themselves. Survival of the fittest. They also sleep as they please, wherever they want. They're not in a cage. And they take care of their families. They're not separated. They are living in their own habitat. And then, as you can tell in this picture, it's just, look at how much space that is compared to previous slide where there was cages. Okay, my next, I'm going to talk about circuses, how they're kept in cages, and zoos have lots of space, more space than circuses, and zoos, animals in zoos are free to move around, eat, and live in a made-up version of the wild. And the solution that I have thought of is, if circuses can't be outlawed by itself, we are willing to risk outlawing zoos too, and we can have private animal shelters, because it is just, I don't agree with what circuses are doing with the animals. It's totally unfair for the animals, and children are growing up, and they're being raised by going to the circus and thinking that animals doing all these tricks are natural. Like, they're gonna expect in the real world, oh, they're going for a walk, they're gonna see a bear on a scooter. That's not realistic. And then for my conclusion, no animals deserve to be abused. Help all of these poor animals get out of all the abuse. These animals don't deserve this. And I'm going to leave you guys off on this statement. Would you like it if you were forced to do something you didn't want to? Thank you.